Now we go to an early match in the career of Andre the Giant, one of the biggest box office attractions in the history of wrestling. He's facing another person who was a great box office attraction, the Sheik, in Toronto, where the Sheik was the king.
Well, Toronto had seen the Sheik dominant for 7 straight years, and finally, in Andre the Giant's first North American tour, the fans thought that maybe the 7'4", 424-pounder could stop the raging wild man from Syria. But as you'll see in this match, the Sheik was willing to pull out all the stops to make sure that his undefeated record remained strong.
Now here, this is an amazing footage. This is Andre the Giant, who was the biggest attraction at this point in time. He was the wrestlers were not quite as large in those days, and Andre was an absolute monster compared to everyone else, going against the Sheik, the most hated man in wrestling. Is this Toronto or Detroit?
I'm going to say that this is Toronto footage. This is 1974. I know that much. It was the year of the first North American tour of Andre the Giant.
That's right. So that's when he first started out. Well, then there's is that Ernie Roth in the corner?
That would be the Grand Wizard of Wrestling, Ernie Roth.
He was Abdullah Farouk.
Abdullah, who was also Abdullah Farouk. Let me get to it, Dave. Heavens, you're jumping in on me here. The only manager, besides myself, I have a dual identity, but we do that in other places in the Pen Pal section of certain classified ads and magazines. But he was the only manager to actually have a public dual identity. The Abdullah Farouk,
and he was also J. Wellington Radcliffe, right?
But that was much earlier in his career. But he was Abdullah Farouk and the Grand Wizard at the same time in different places.
That's right. In fact, he was so well respected as a manager that he worked different territories. Usually a manager would work one territory. He would be with the Sheik at the big shows. He would be flown into New York, where he would work the television tapings and the Madison Square Garden shows. So, I mean, obviously to do that in that era, the guy must have had tremendous respect and quite a talker.
And you can see, and for the folks who saw Andre the Giant near the end of his career, look at the difference in the physical specimen that this man was at 7'4" and 420 pounds tops at this point. He could drop kick. He could come off the top rope. He could move. He was so much quicker than he was at the later stages of his game during his first full North American tour, which was, as we said, was 1974. Now
that's Tiger Tasker, right?
That is referee Tiger Tasker in Toronto.
And he needs a bra.
And he's seen better days. But he was totaling the count, and remember, folks, at this time, the Sheik undefeated in Toronto in 7 years, and the fans packed the Maple Leaf Gardens on this night to see the Sheik defeated for the first time in 7 years. But as you can see, it wasn't to be. The fireball, you couldn't see a good shot of it because of the camera angle, but the fire in the face of Andre the Giant. In this case, the first time that Andre had ever felt the flames being shot from the fingertips of the Sheik.
There's Frank Valois.
Frank Valois,
who was Andre's manager in those days.
The French-speaking manager of Andre the Giant. And the referee tolling the count, Andre unable to continue, and the Sheik once again wins in Toronto. That uninterrupted win streak still in effect.
That's right. A lot of people didn't realize that Andre the Giant, in fact, had lost matches before, because he was always billed as undefeated, but there were a couple of matches here and there with people like the Sheik or Antonio Inoki where he did lose in the 70s.
There were a few pinfall losses in other countries, in Mexico to Dos Caras.
The Canek.
To El Canek. And in Japan as well, a few pinfall losses early in Andre's career. But in this case, it was a loss by being unable to continue.
Right, the match stopped being unable to continue because of the fireball.
Wow. Tremendous ovation for Andre the Giant as he moves down the ramp in the Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens, which was sold out for this match in 1974. This historic footage that you will not see anywhere else.
One of the most unique wrestlers